smaller country in the northeast of Europe. But what for some just seems like one of the Baltic states turns out to be a country with quite a remarkable history. The first written records of Lithuania were actually found in 1009 in the annals of the Quedlinburg Abbey. But we will start a bit further in 1253 at the Coronation of Mindaugas. Mindaugas is not only the first and only king Lithuania ever had, he is also known as the principal founder of the Lithuanian state. And he also ensured that Lithuania was never conquered by the Crusaders, in contrast to many surrounding states. Mindaugas was killed in 1263, and after his death, the Grand Duchy of Lithuania developed. And therefore a time started where Lithuania actually ended up being one of the biggest forces in Europe. Due to rulers like Gediminas, the founder of the capital city Vilnius, or Jogaila, who created a personal union with Poland through marriage, Lithuania expanded its territories until the Black Sea, making it the biggest state of Europe in the beginning of the 15th century. To hold on to that for longer, and due to incoming threats of the Muscovites and the start of territorial loss in the east, Lithuania and Poland signed the Union of Lublin and created the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Even though the Grand Duchy of Lithuania was still sovereign, due to the merge with Poland it sort of became a secondary state. During the next 200 years, the Commonwealth was weakened by a series of wars against the Swedish Empire, the Kingdom of Prussia, and especially the Russian Empire. The last named Russian Empire were the one who annexed Lithuania in 1795. And the time of suffering and oppression started. After two failed revolts in 1831 and 1863, the Russian Empire started the Russification and banned the Lithuanian language, for example, completely. Only thanks to book smugglers who illegally smuggled and transferred books across the border, the Lithuanian language was kept alive. The Lithuanian people had to wait over 5 more decades until they gained back their sovereignty by signing the Act of Independence after World War I on the 16th of February in 1918. But the new republic was off to a hard start, because already in 1920, during the Polish-Lithuanian-War, the southern region of Lithuania, including Vilnius, was occupied by Poland. That made Kaunas the new capital city of Lithuania from 1921 to 1940. And during that time, Kaunas became sort of the symbol of the thrive of Lithuanian culture and its academics, and it was eventually even called Little Paris. But this time ended quite drastically during World War II, when Germany and the Soviet Union alternately occupied Lithuania between 1940 and 1945. Tens of thousands of Lithuanians lost their lives during the fights, and over 200,000 Jews living in Lithuania lost their lives during the Holocaust. At the end of World War II, Lithuania was reoccupied by the Soviet Union. And under Stalin it became the Lithuanian Soviet Socialist Republic. And another time of suffering started. For example, people, among them the highest intellectual figures of that time, had to face deportation to Siberia as part of the Soviet population exchange. Thousands and thousands of people died. During the next 40 years, Lithuania had to function as a Soviet society with all its repressions and characteristics. In the late 80s, the independence movement gained a bigger and bigger amount of popularity. And this led up to a very remarkable protest on the 23rd of August 1989. Estonians, Latvians and Lithuanians joined together, hand in hand, in a human chain that stretched 600 kilometers from Tallinn to Vilnius to draw the world's attention to the fate of the Baltic nations. After ongoing protests, the parliament declared the Lithuanian independence on the 11th of March 1990. The Soviet Union tried to overthrow the new built independent government, and during the January events in 1991, 40 unarmed civilians got killed. But the Soviet Union didn't succeed, and later on that year, Iceland, as the first nation, recognized Lithuania as a country, and other countries all over the world followed shortly afterwards. Since then, Lithuania joined the European Union in 2004, has one of the fastest growing economies in Europe, and became a strong partner for human rights activists and democratic movements in other East European countries. So, Lithuania went from a kingdom to a duchy to a commonwealth. They have been occupied several times by different countries. But the people kept on fighting, and in the end, they always managed to gain back their independence. And now Lithuania is not only an example for other countries, but also an advocate for other fighting countries. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, quite a remarkable history. And let's see what is the next big thing Lithuania got in store for us.